Pastoral Theology 2, Lecture 11, Decision Making Practical Lab, Part 2. Also, you should be taking an exam really soon, like today, if you can. Let's start off with prayer. Father in heaven, help us to learn from this lesson here, and the one on homiletics and the one on apologetics. God, help us. We need your help. Help me to teach. May this glorify you, dear Father. In Jesus Christ's name, amen.
Amen.
We're eating some barbecue ribs and various other things. We had a men's barbecue yesterday. Only had a few show up, but so we have lots of food left over. Brother Ron's here. We have several ladies gone, or not able to be here because of visiting relatives. Brother Dean has had to travel. He might be back a little bit later. We'll see. So it's just a few of us tonight, but you're with us, so you've added to our numbers. Thank you. Pat yourself on the back. So remember last week we got to thinking about this, and it'll probably be mostly me talking, because we only got a few of us here. I don't want to put them on the spot. But so just be thinking, online students. Please think. There's a picture of our brain, different cortex and lobes. I guess lobes we'll call them. 7 key principles to follow when you make a decision, especially as a pastor or a leader in a church. Identify exactly what the problem is that the decision will solve. So, what is the problem? Be certain you are addressing the real problem. It seems simple to understand, right? But focus on what the problem is. How will the decision support sound biblical principles? So you think about your decision you're wanting to make, the choice you have, get some Bible principles behind that. If you can't come up with any, there might be a problem. 3, spend time in prayer over the situation. So don't typically rush into a decision. Pray about it. That doesn't mean, okay, God, I want to get this thing solved now. Here's a quick little prayer for you. All right, here's the answer. You might have to spend hours in prayer. 4, learn everything you can about the problem. But set realistic time limits for gathering information. So there's research. You need to do some researching. And maybe it's just in your mind, you research. But you might talk to people or even research on the internet. Acknowledge that you may need to make your decision without having all the facts and as much time as you would like. Sometimes you just got to make the decision, and you haven't had enough time to sort it all out. This could happen on the spot as a pastor, or there's a problem going on between 2 people, and you just got to go in there and try and at least make a decision on what to do. 5, brainstorm. If you've got the time, well, list all alternative solutions you can think of. Then create even new alternatives. You got to go beyond just what you can think of at the moment. The more you investigate your alternatives, the more ideas that will come to you, and the more alternatives you will discover. No kidding. The more alternatives you have, the better your decision will be. Why? Because you're looking at all the possible choices out there, from ridiculous, but that's okay, throw them out there, to very close, and maybe even competing with the one you're thinking about going with, or you have no clue what to do. So just think if you had 10 different choices. I would much rather have 10 different choices that were somewhat reasonable than just one. You say, well, that would be harder with more than one. No. Then I can at least feel some liberty. And it's like looking for a home. I'd rather have 10 homes to fit our kind of what we're looking for than there's just one. I guess that's the one we got to go with. You can't compare it to anything else. 6, try not to let emotions play into the decision-making process. Look at it generically, principally, in a matter-of-fact way. And women can do this too, but men are better at looking at it without emotions. But the emotion that comes in with men, and a pastor, might be, pride, arrogancy, frowardness. I know I'm right because I'm a man or I'm a pastor. This pride, yeah. Watch out for that. It's not really an emotion, that's just an attitude. Emotions of anger, one to get even, jealousy, envy, whatever it might be. Don't let that get in there. You've got Get away from that. 7, try never to make a decision if you still have some reservations about it. Wait until you got peace and confidence. So if you got time on your side, then I would not, on a big decision at least, like buying church's property, getting a new pastor, you leaving the church and going to start another church like I'm doing soon. This is almost June 1st, 2014 right now. You need to reach a point where you've got at least some peace. Do you ever reach perfect peace? What is that? Well, sometimes you can. But there's faith building in that. So sometimes that peace doesn't come until after you've already taken that step of faith. Then the peace comes. Decision. Okay, we'll go on with these decisions. The building project. Several leaders in the church are strongly desiring pursuing a new church building. So what are you going to do on this? So remember, don't look at these, just uncover these variables as we go. So keep them covered, or just force yourself not to look at the next variable, please. Because it will help you think by not looking at the next one. Because sometimes you get bits and pieces as it goes along, and you don't get the whole thing. So the first thing that you learn is the current building, it's old, it's in a poor location, and it's too small. So I'm thinking, it's reasonable what these guys are wanting to do. I can understand the reasoning. Alright, the next variable. The estimated cost for a mediocre new building and land in this area is about $350,000. For a nice building and land, it's about $500,000, so $500,000. Well, that makes me think a little bit. So the question that's looming in your mind is how much money we got. Well, let's go to the next variable. So far it sounds like maybe we can do it, but that's a lot of money. So there's $100,000 saved in the building fund. All the resources that you have that can be used is $100,000. So that concerns me. Does it concern you? As a pastor, I'm thinking, well, we should try and do everything we can not to go into debt, because you would have to go into debt on this. And substantial debt. But at least you got down payment and then some. If you only had $10,000, that doesn't look so good. I don't think you can get along with only that. So you've got enough money there to possibly get a reasonable loan and make it work, but that's not great. Well, so you're still thinking. Well, variable number 4 comes along. The bylaws state that the church should do everything it can to avoid getting into debt. Well, just like it's your conviction, you have the bylaws to back you up. So right now I'd be discussing this with the church as a pastor and saying, well, let's pray about this. Let's talk it out a bit here too. This is a big debt. Is there a way to do this without going into debt? Well, a new building, I don't think so. But an existing, older building to buy, that's what I'd be looking for. I'd be trying to get the folks to think they want another building is what they want. So, well, maybe forget new building for now, or just set it aside and let's consider old existing building that's closer to $100,000. You might say, well, you're get a piece of junk. Well, what's the goal? We need maybe a bigger building. Let's just say that's the goal. Well, let's get something at least twice as big. Otherwise, don't even consider it. So at least twice as big, and it might not be as nice, but we'll make it nice over the years. Well, variable 5 comes in. A large group of influential ladies in the church feel that it would be best to buy an existing building, turnkey. Well, all of a sudden, we've got some ladies thinking like you. Now, I didn't look at this variable ahead of time, so I just was thinking out loud, and this helps. So this is starting to get things rolling in the right direction, I think. Now, if you can find a building like that. Variable number 6, at a men's meeting, the majority seem to be in favor of building a nice new building at up to $500,000. Uh-oh, this is men. Majority. Okay, so you're going to talk to them as a pastor and not go, no, we're not doing it. I wouldn't do that. Now, if the bylaws say something, you state what the bylaws say and say, gentlemen, we need to go along with the bylaws. And don't go, I'm against that. You guys, no. We're not going to think about that. I'm in control here. You're going to make some enemies out of that. Mm-hmm. I'd rather go into debt up to my ears and have a whole bunch of men in a church enemies. You may not, but that's just money. I know it's poor testimony, potentially, yes, but you're going to dissolve the church otherwise. So you're going to have to be careful here. You're going to be careful. So you're going to start opening up at least half and half to the ladies, or this the two options. Well, okay, we'll look at both options, and let's pursue these and be praying about it. And look at the pros and cons. 7. At another men's meeting, the majority seem to be in favor of land that is in the next town about 5 miles away. So they found some land to build a new church building on, and that's what they're looking at. So 5 miles away, does that concern you at all? Think about that. Well, it matters how big the city is, but this is 5 miles outside the city limits, let's say. That would concern me. Mm-hmm. But that's often where you got to find the land at. In normal-sized cities, it's very expensive to get land otherwise in America, unless it's a very small town or the town is economically not strong. So I wouldn't be so hot on that, but I'd put it on the table. Put it on the table. Remember what we heard earlier? Alternatives. The more alternatives you have, the more you can kind of move people away from some things. Variable 8. There are 2 influential men, a deacon and the treasurer, who come to you and explain that they think it would hurt the church to go into a building project right now due to the way the economy is and the fact that they don't have more money saved. Well, okay, good. So these weren't the leaders that recommended it in the first place. So you got 2 guys that are influential men on your side, and all of a sudden you're thanking them and said, okay, good, because I would rather not pursue any building than to pursue a building and have it put us in deep debt. Mm-hmm. So you've got some key men on your side. I would encourage them to speak up about it nicely in meetings or just talking with people. I'd say, okay, guys, you got to do some work out there. Not spreading rumors, not trying to manipulate people too much. Just let them know what you think. Number 9, the pastor's conviction is to purchase an existing building in the area. It is that needs some remodeling. But the total cost would be less than $350,000. Well, it better be. Yeah, I agree with that. It would be way less than that. And so I found a building. The building's very large, in a good location. It has lots of possibilities. And let's say they're asking $225,000. All right, we got $100,000. I wouldn't want to double. I wouldn't want more than double in the loan what we have. So if we got $100,000, I wouldn't want to go over another $100,000. So $200,000 might be my max. If it was $350,000. And you can build one for $350,000? Wow. So you look at that, I'd rather have a new one than an existing one. Mm-hmm. If they're the same size about. Yeah, of course. But the location might be really good. So you kind of look at it. Again, another alternative, but I'd be less than $350,000 though, with $100,000 in the bank. I'd be looking like close to $100,000. That little jalopy of a building. Number 10, the information is all brought before the church body. You're going to have a vote, and there's a lot too when you have a vote. You don't just have a vote to have a vote, because it can not turn out good. So you got to be careful. But let's say it's got to come to vote. 30% vote to buy an existing building. 45% vote to buy a new nice building and land for up to $500,000. And the other 25%, well, 25% want to wait. As we close on this, because there's no more variables. So that's what it comes out as. You don't have a majority vote. What are you going to do as a pastor? Well, we don't have a majority vote. So what you're going to do, possibly, is take the 2 top votes and put them back to back. So buy an existing building versus buying a nice new building. And possibly those 25% that want to wait will go to the side of buying an existing building. But either way out of this, it doesn't look like you're going to have, if you have a super majority vote needed, meaning 67% or 75%, whatever it is, to get the vote to pass on a big item, you're not going to get it out of this. There's too much division in it. And, well, hopefully you don't have a fight, but if it's down the middle, it's just, people realize you're not going to be able to go very far. If it's close to passing and it doesn't, that's when I think the tempers get a lot worse. So I might set it up for either no vote, we just need to wait, think about this more, or to put these 2 top votes back to back, in not the next week. Just think about it a little bit, and then we'll see what happens. Building projects, building decisions can kill a church. A new building can sure help a church, but I think the risk is so great that it'd be wise, in my view, to go slow and get an existing building. Unless you've already had an existing building and just ain't working out, and you know you just need a new one for whatever reason. But in general, we're independent Baptists. We don't have a huge organization funneling money to us. We're going to have old buildings. If you got a new building, then you're compromising somewhere. Decision number 8. We'll take a break after this one. Challenging the constitution of the church. A group of families are wanting the church's constitution and bylaws to be changed to allow for a close communion stance. They feel that closed communion is too restrictive and shows narrow-mindedness and divisiveness and all that. So what are you going to do? You're going to even entertain that? I wouldn't even entertain the thing. So that's nice. But, you know, if it's in the bylaws, it's in the bylaws. You don't, or a non-amendable portion of your church documents. Now, if you don't have church documents at all, well, then it gets down to popular vote and really where the pastor stands on it. Variable number 1. After meeting with these concerned members, it is found that they have some other concerns also. Yeah, I would assume so. Like the King James stance is too rigid. Women should be allowed to be in leadership positions. And we should fellowship with a broader spectrum of churches. So right now I'm thinking, as a pastor, if I did have this meeting, which is fine to do, I would say they're very interesting. Well, this is all the wrong direction, my friends. This is not what our church stands for. I think you knew that when you became members. They go blah, blah, blah back to you. But I'm not going to listen to them anymore, in my view, right now. Variable number 2. After explaining what the church documents seem to clearly say, and hopefully opposing all their viewpoints, they still persist to want to have these issues changed. So maybe you brought out the church documents and you show them where we're closed communion, King James only, all these things. Or whatever it is for your church. Well, I'm saying, as a pastor, I'm required to, and I must, lead by what we have agreed upon as a church. And these are all unamendable. You can't change them. So I'm going to go by that. Plus, that's my firm conviction, too. I'd be happy to try and show you in the Bible. No. We know about this. Variable number 3. One of these members here is a lawyer. One's a police chief. One's a radio talk show host. What? The other is the owner of the largest business in town. I put it that way just to make it tough, because, alright, these are influential people that could potentially ruin you, demolish this church, put out bad news to it about it. Well, I'm sure there'd be a little bit of thought. Now, if you weren't really firm on those stances, and it was just in the bylaws, but you're kind of agreeing with them, you might say, yeah, okay, let's do it. So that's why it's important to be firm on your convictions. Because then you get things like this happening, and it gets tough. Variable number 4, the lawyer is the head deacon. Oh, no. The police chief is your Sunday school superintendent. The radio talk show host is the song leader, and the business owner is the treasurer. Bad setup for you. Right now, I'm thinking, the church is over. This is going. I'm going, I think. I'm going to be going where the church is going to split and fall apart. This is not looking good, if they're really firm on this. I would be praying about it a lot. Maybe trying to get ahead of it, because they're going to be trying to influence people, and that's not good to do. As a pastor, I think it's okay to try and influence people as a pastor, but no one else. Right? We have the privilege of influencing people, to see it our way. Others may not agree, but that's the way I look at it. Because you're there, planted by God to save, in this situation, save the church from disaster. Variable 5. Other members are now taking sides with them. See, it's getting out of hand. And are basically demanding that the church vote on changing these things. Okay, it's going out of hand, Brother Ron, others. It is not looking good.
You?
Variable number 6. You address the church body Sunday night and explain to them that all these issues they have with the Constitution and bylaws cannot be changed. They're unamendable. You're nice, you're loving. I would also let them know my firm conviction on them too, just so they know. But even, no matter what my conviction is, we can't change these. This is what the law is for our church. Mm-hmm. And praise the Lord to have firm statements on it that are not changeable. So you share with them, but these folks, they want it done. So they already know it's in the bylaws. It's not like they didn't know that before. So they're prepared to say, bylaws, schmylaws, out of here. Number 7. the lawyer wishes to speak to the congregation the next Sunday night for 10 minutes. The lawyer's the head deacon, and I would say, my friend, and I'd say, I love you, but you're going to try and manipulate people to your side, and it goes against what our bylaws say, so that is not right. If it was an open-ended thing, I would want to hear from other people, but not in that type of setting. I'll monitor it. You can say some things. We'll give 2 minutes to each person to talk. But the lawyer's a lawyer, so I would not let him even speak. Now you can speak, and you can say, you can't speak. And he goes, I'm going to speak, and then things are out of control. It's not looking good. You're not in a good position at all. Variable 8. The following Wednesday night, all these members are present and stand and demand a vote to be taken. And they far outnumber the others present. What are you going to do? Well, you can look at the bylaws and say, hey guys, and maybe it says something about having votes on changing the Constitution, and maybe it says you got to have a month notice what the changes to be, and various other things. If you have nothing on it, then you're up in the air on this. But I would say, hey guys, we need to wait till Sunday and we'll have a vote. You might just need to say, okay, Lord, this isn't looking good. I'm going to vote against it. I'm going to try and lead the church that way, but if they all vote, the majority votes for it, then I know what I've got, and it's not a good church. They're believing lies. Dear God, help. Or you can make this decision, we're not going to have a vote. No, we're going to pray about it some more. We got too much division in this. It's going to hurt the church. Plus, I'm not going to have a vote on something that's clearly against the Bible and what our church is founded upon. So that's it. You can just say we're not going to have a vote. If they have a vote, then they've done it on their own. I don't know what that means. And lastly, after you explain to them that they cannot demand a meeting to be called, the lawyer brings in 2 of his lawyer friends, not even church members. The police chief brings in 3 police officers in full uniform. They end up getting the rest of the congregation there to basically agree with them that Wednesday night and the vote should be taken. This is what I would do. If the vast majority of them, it might be just, let's say there's 40 there and 33 are for doing this, and say, okay, my friends, I'm against this, you're on your own. And walk away. Now, if there's a fair number of people, let's say close to half that are maybe on my side, I don't know, I'd say, hey, what do you think, brother? What do you think, brother? And they'll say no. They'll say, no, we're on your side, preacher. So it's a tough one, but it might just be futile, and I would just not want to be involved with it at all, because it's going to be a fight. I can say, no, you're not, and they're going to have these police officers come up to me, yes, we are, and you might be tempted to push one out of the way, and then you're getting arrested. But you can start praying. You can just maybe kneel down and say, well, I'm going to pray. And they just pray. And they want to go about it. They can go about it. You pray good and loud. Ask God to send down lightning to strike.